Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Sox on Tap.
Tony, my first reaction is just fuck yes, let's go.
Sox versus Detroit. That's where it all starts. It all starts taking care of business in-house in the Central Division.
That's right, I'm a meatball.
You got to bring that top button swag, baby.
It is always great to beat the Cubs.
And I'm a homer, so I always say they're gonna.
Dallas Keuchel Lamson got some beards that you should be afraid of.
What everybody said when he gets out there, it's me versus the other guy, and I'm going to beat him. So I just love that mentality. It's cool and fucking tough.
Steve, would you say that Tony is mad online?
I would definitely say that.
The White Sox winner.
White Sox fans, welcome in. It is Sox on Tap. Jonnie and Sean here, joined today by Sean Roberts. Sean, first show that you and I are doing here together on the mic. Unfortunately, it's a dog shit game that we're talking about.
Nani, always a pleasure. Always good to see you. Always good to talk to you. And I'm 0-2 now doing post-game shows. Feel good about it. I mean, I guess I need a win eventually, though. I want to come on here and have some beers, have some celebration beers, and enjoy myself a little bit and not talk about a bunch of crap.
Yeah, right, Sean. So it's like it's like early in the season still, but it's so like ridiculous how like early on, like I have in the bottom here, it's like Sox get swept by Cleveland and the world is ending. Like it's literally that's how it feels because it's such a small sample size. We don't have a whole lot to go off. Now the White Sox are 500, and it's like that's another mark there. But then when you look at it, it's like, well, it's 12 games, 6-6, so it isn't the end of the world, but it feels like it. So we're gonna take you into all of that and what went down here today.
Yeah, man, it's funny. I was sitting at my desk at work today, and I'm watching the game, and I'm sitting here going, 3-4 days ago, I was sitting like, we're good. You lose the game on Sunday, it's gonna happen. I'll give them a pass. And like, just going to Cleveland, play decent baseball. You're more talented than them. You're better than them. Play decent baseball. Get out of there. Win 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 4, or 2, split the series at least, and don't get swept, and all things are good. And instead, yesterday and today, 3 games total, I don't know what we watched. And technically, if you want to throw Sunday's game into it now, the last 4 ball games that the White Sox have played have been putrid.
Yeah,
you use a lot of terminology, but it's been ugly.
Yeah, that's definitely the best way. Ugly, sloppy. That's why, the title of this episode, Slop Gets Swept. Well, guess what? The White Sox was a sloppy team, and they got swept. I wonder, me and Tony talk a lot about the butterfly effect and what happens if those games don't get postponed, or maybe only one gets postponed. Maybe they're in a better spot. Maybe it's just kind of like a little off day if only Monday gets canned. But no, it's like they're waiting around for 2 days. And obviously, Tim Anderson had discussed a little bit, it's like, okay, I definitely knew my focus wasn't on point then after, but luckily I have another opportunity today. Well, guess what, Sean? You made another error today, and focus wasn't there at all for any 3 games of this series.
Yeah, and you know what? Speaking of Timmy, and I can't, it might have been the first inning. When did Rosario beat that play out at first base? Was it or the first one? But it looked to me, and you saw it again with Leary later on in the game at second base, that Jose Ramirez beat it out, I believe. Are our infielders just not charging? It feels like they're sitting back on their heels just a little bit, and that's not when you're an infielder. You got to attack the baseball. You can't just sit back because it's going to mess up your rhythm. You're going to look up after you feel the ball, and you're going to see a guy run a lot faster than you thought he was going to be running. And what happens, right? Throw off line. And then lost my headphones there. Jose Abreu misses the tag, and right off the bat, we're going, oh, here we go. Defense again. And defense has been atrocious too. But yeah.
That's like kind of the thing because, I think during the course of the season, any team is going to have spells of offensive droughts. It happens. Guys go into slump, and sometimes it feels like it can be contagious. So I felt like that's what the White Sox were entering, coming into this, and even the start, with that game 1, it was just an overall kind of shit show. So even after game 1, I was like, all right, if we could just press the reset button here and just come out, and then we see the lineup that went out. I know Tony and Steve talked about that last night. So it just never got back on track, and that just continued today. I will say, luckily, there were a few moments of hope We'll get to that, like how that all transpired here today. But overall, Sean, obviously not a great situation to be in for the White Sox. As I mentioned, 6-6, second place in the AL Central now. Bad stay cold. So before we get into kind of like recap how things happen here, listeners, make sure you're visiting ontapsportsnet.com for all Chicago sports literature and podcasting needs. Give us a follow on social media at Sox on Tap and at OnTapSportsNet. All right, Sean, let's dive into it. Your boy, the X Factor, Cease on the mound today. Overall, not a bad performance, not as sharp as the first two, though. I will say my big takeaway is he gave your team a chance to win.
And that's all. And are we looking for a little bit more dominance from Dylan? Yeah, but you look at his first two starts of the year, I thought they were great. And obviously the stats showed that. I think he was 2-0 going into today with a 1.6 something ERA, I believe. You go in today, you leave the game with your team having a chance to win, like you just said. And it's going to be like that sometimes. He's not going to be a guy that is going to go out. We hope he can be that guy, right? But at worst, he's going to be able to do what he did today and keep his team in it. He wasn't as sharp. I think Ozzie and Chuck were talking on the postgame show today a little bit about how he was leaving his slider up a little bit. A lot of his pitches were staying up, and yeah, that you don't like to see that, but Dylan's got good enough stuff that he might be able to get away with it here and there. But yeah, Dylan Cease, X Factor, kept his team in the game. You got to score runs. And when you don't score runs, guys like Dylan go out there and they put more pressure on themselves to throw strikes, to not pitch with so much confidence because they know that they can't mess up, right? Like we can't allow to have 1 or 2 runs in the first couple innings, or else all of a sudden we start pressing. And what happened? Reyes gets the home run. Sox are down 2-0, and we're going. And literally, if you go on Sox Twitter after that, everyone goes, "Oh shit," you know what I mean? Because everyone knows we're down 2 runs,
everyone, right? Yeah,
like right off the bat. So Dylan's already going. Well, now I really got to pitch my ass off.
Yeah,
you know, and you can't do that as a pitcher. You can't.
I like that you bring up the reaction there, Sean. I got to dive into that a little bit because if it's like, say it's like on a streak where the White Sox are hitting well and like they're like, producing like a good like 4 to 5 runs a game and you're on one of those nice stretches. If Cease gives that up, everyone's like, all right, well, that's okay. Like, still plenty of outs left, still plenty of, at bats left. Sticks are going well so far. And it's a completely different mindset.
Yep.
It's like funny how it translates. It's both on Twitter and as fans and us like interacting.
But we all go through it.
Guess what? It happens in the dugout too.
Yep. And Johnny, I've been a pitcher on a team where like we've gone 3 weeks and you're scoring 2-3 runs a game, and you go out there and you're a starting pitcher and you give up a run or two early on, the bullpen's getting warmed up because they can't take a risk of you not having your stuff that day because they just know on the offensive side of things it's not happening. We can't be down by 2-3 runs. And right now, that's kind of what the White Sox are battling. You look at the last 4 games, they're 1 run, couple runs here. I don't even remember there was 2 runs on Sunday. It's been ugly. So being down 2-0, you're putting the pressure on Cease. He starts trying to make sure he's making the perfect pitch. And Dylan is a guy that cannot sit there and try and make any pitcher really can't, but Dylan Cease especially. He has to just go out and throw the damn baseball.
Yeah, I've got one last thought on Cease and talking about that. His shit is good enough to where he shouldn't try to be too perfect, and he should just let it ride. He should just be able to let it ride, and hopefully in the future, with not as much pressure, like monkey on his back sort of thing, with hopefully the offense is picking him up a little bit in the future. All right, let's close the book on Dylan Cease. That was a. Let me get the final line here. 6 in the third, 8 hits, 4 earned runs, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts, 1 home run allowed. Obviously, you mentioned that 2-run shot. 2 Franmil Reyes. That's how this game scoring got started. That was in the bottom of the third. You could live with that because it felt like the White Sox were going to make a little comeback here in the top of the fourth. Sean, Robert leads off with the double. Lurie walks, and then Jose Abreu does technically hit a double down the right field line. I need you to walk me through what the hell happened on the bases here.
Well, watching the TV broadcast, Abreu hits the double to right field. And all of a sudden they pan and Luis Roberts barely rounding third base and the play's at the plate and it's not even close. And we're all sitting here going, oh, here we go. Waving Joe again. Tony's pick to click, did it again. Tony in a group chat even texted us, oh, there's my pick to click again. And then we saw the replay, right? Like everyone had the overreaction.
Yep.
And then we see the replay. Leary Garcia was the main culprit of that whole thing.
Right.
McEwen didn't have a choice. Leary rounded second. You force the issue there. Robert has to go home, or one of them are going to be out at third. It's just terrible base running. You put your team in a really crappy position. You lose a run on that. Now, granted, we get one out of it. Leary ends up scoring, but would you rather have bases loaded, nobody out, or one out and you got first and third?
Right.
I'll take bases loaded, nobody out.
Yeah, you are the bases. So I just need to talk to this. Yes, in the end, you've great breakdown there because yes, Lurie's fault. He was right on Luis Roberts' ass there, and they were coming around. It was like the scene in what is that, Rookie of the Year?
Henry Rowan-Gardner, yeah,
Henry Rowan-Gardner's getting caught. That's what it looked like when they were both like kind of like rounding like second in between the second and third base and the base path there. So that overall is a fault there, but. What you should have done in this instance here is obviously Luis is hanging pretty close there to second base. Both of them, I know it's, sure, it might be like a fly ball. It's like such a weird spot because you got to take into consideration Franmil Reyes is big, isn't very mobile. Is he going to get there? You probably don't think so, but either way, it's still hanging up enough to where he has a chance. And obviously got close to a glove on it there. So I would imagine in that situation, you probably got to have both guys halfway, right? That probably the most fundamental thing there, because you could both those guys, even if he catches it, they still get back to their bags. There's
I'm not going to
maybe Robert stays there and Lurie stays at like a little bit off first. Yeah.
Yes. I'm not going to hate on Luis there because Luis is trying to advance, right? Like he's like, at worst, I can tag up here. I get to third base. We got one out. First and third in that situation, right? Leary, I also get where he's in a sense coming from, where there is that missed ball, right? And all of a sudden Leary's like, well, hell, I'm here. Like, let's go. Mm-hmm. But you can't force Luis to go home there. You have to look forward. You have to read that situation and go, hey, listen, he's only getting to third base.
And what he should have done is, okay, so maybe he is getting, a little, he sees it drop and he wants to go. As soon as he sees that Robert's not far enough ahead of him, that's when you just, even if you rounded second, just pump the brakes and then just get right back there and stand on second base. That's probably what should have happened here. But obviously hindsight's 2020. Us sitting here bitching and moaning about it, won't talk about it. But I just wanted to get through here because this is just some of the
big part. It was a big part early on in the game.
Some of the slop that went on here. Obviously, like you said, we did get a run out of that. Grandal with the sac fly, kind of another weird spot there too in shallow right field. But either way, that's how the first Sox run comes in there. And then in the bottom of the fifth, Cleveland back on the board. Quan with the leadoff walk. Looks like Cease might be getting close to getting out of this one after a couple of strikeouts, but unfortunately, Josh Naylor. We'll have more on him later in this game too. That was I don't think anybody's too much of a fan of him, especially Tim Anderson. We were talking about Naylor there. So Sean, let's talk one more instance here. I hate that it pains me to go through this kind of shit, but Luis Robert wasted leadoff single in the top of the sixth. He was caught stealing with one out, but right before that, there was a hit and run play on, and he got a great jump. But Lurie had lined out to right field. Luckily, Luis got back. And this, I felt like this could have been the start of a rally if you really make something happen with this leadoff single here. But then, of course, Luis Robert gets gunned down on a perfect throw here. Think anything, the tweak that he had later in the game, you think that had anything to do with the jump that he may or may not have gotten on that second?
I don't know. But real quick on the attempted steal there, did you think he was safe?
No, it looked like he was out.
Okay. Because from the side angle, I was like, is that worth it? I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't know. But anyway.
Yeah. I will say that was a good throw. So I just got it. I will tip my cap there. That was a good throw.
You can throw Luis Robert out.
Yeah.
Tip of the cap.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, dude, imagine if that goes right. Imagine if that hit and run gets down. Imagine if that's just a little bloop over second baseman's head and Luis is already to third there. Then you're first and third him with no outs. It's like just what could have been the butterfly effect going back to that thing there. So as we move through this in the bottom of the sixth, that's when Cleveland would get another one via a Quan sac fly. And then in the top of the seventh, White Sox score on some slop from Cleveland. This is a sloppy game all around, Sean. I thought, it was like dead in the water. Sheets hits a 2-out single. I was like, that's kind of wasted. We're not going to get anything there. But then after a pitching change, Berger comes through with one. And then Hazley reaches on the air, and the the Guardians are throwing the ball all over the goddamn diamond. What happened here?
I don't know. I don't know what the hell happened. You know what? We're gonna just start calling it, Nani. We're just going to start calling it AL Central Baseball. That's what we're just going to when we have two teams.
AL Central Baseball, yeah.
Yes, April AL Central Baseball. Yeah, just slop. Sox get a couple runs out of it, which is if they listen when you aren't scoring runs, if that's how you got to do it, that's how you got to do it.
Yeah, and guess what? If Gavin Sheets and Jake Berger are the guys scoring on these, the throws are really, really errant.
It's really bad, and the balls are flying everywhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, you get a couple runs out of there. This
is the part where we have hope again, right?
Yes, and then you get frustrated, right? Like this is what happens. We get a little ounce of hope as a fan base, and then they take it right away from us.
So where I'm like mentally here when I'm watching this sequence, Sean, is exactly what I think. Like everybody thought it, and then Jason and Steve just kind of vocalized it, and they said, "Hey, maybe this is just a thing. Maybe you just needed to catch a break to kind of recalibrate and like click and get right." And you thought maybe things might turn the other way in terms of luck, in terms of just the overall play level.
And Timmy comes up and wasn't even close.
Right. Yeah. So but at the same time, you still have some time left after this. But I gotta, we gotta rip on my pick to click here because he's been great to date, but not today. Not today. Kendall Graveman didn't have it when he came in to start the 7th inning. Man, rough stuff for him. The few things immediately. Straw leadoff single. Naylor hits a RBI double, and that's another sloppy thing here too, because that ball goes right through Jose Abreu's legs. Yeah, ruled a double.
I thought it was an error.
Sean, I think the rulings are gotten way too soft ever since the inclusion of StatCast data and all this. And this isn't me ripping it and saying that's no good and yada yada and all that. But they just try to reward this guy hit the ball
right.
hard, so you have to get. It's like, well, if you hit it right at the guy and it literally went through his legs.
Yep.
Right, literally right through his legs. Shouldn't that be an error? Like,
even right away, like you're watching it live, I was like, and it was hit hard. Don't get me wrong, but I was like, well, okay, there's our defense again. I didn't even have to see the replay, and I knew that there was no way where it was hit and where Abreu was standing. There was no way that wasn't going to be an error. And then all of a sudden, you hear Benetti and they gave him a hit on that or a double, whatever the case is. But that goes to our slop, right? Like when things are going well, Jose picks that ball, double plays turned, all things are great, right? When the last 4 games have happened, it's always that the negative stuff keeps happening, right?
Yeah.
And so you just need to find a way to eventually stop that bleeding.
It sucks because it really is contagious. It's like a team mentality, and it shouldn't be. It's weird because everyone's an individual out there, right? Because Jose Abreu doing or Tim Anderson making an errant throw, a couple of them yesterday, and then one early in the game today. That doesn't physically affect Jose Abreu. I mean, maybe if he had to, go and swipe someone and he injures his arm, that's the only way it could. But it physically doesn't affect his ability to field the ground ball. But mentally and vibe-wise, it absolutely does.
Oh, vibes are awful right now, right?
Just awful.
Like you make it. It was prime stuff we saw yesterday, right? Like you see it yesterday. Like one error leads to another error, and all of a sudden everybody's doing it, and and then you go on White Sox Twitter and everyone's losing their damn minds, right? And it continues to happen, and then of course the next play. Anderson and this is the instance of the let's just talk about this because I thought there was a case for interference there. Absolutely.
I know they said when Tim Anderson's coming in and fielding that ball and Naylor's running there, yes, they're both they both do need to go to the same place there. However,
you have to allow the fielder to field the ball.
Right, and that's why you see it multiple other times. And granted, it might be a little quicker instance on a line drive, but a guy's jumping back, right?
Yep.
Unless he wants to get out and get hit by the ball, then.
Well, and I'm trying to. At that point, I had the game on mute, so I didn't hear anything from Benetti or Stone there. But now, I think, and this is just my personal opinion, I think that Timmy was trying to scoop and tag.
Yes.
But you could absolutely say that was interference. And it's just what is he supposed to do there? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because he has to go to that spot to field the ball.
Naylor can stop.
And that's why I would, Tony, and I will say, Tony's going to get a lot of flack no matter what, and rightfully so, because what the fuck is Larry Garcia hitting 3-4? I'll throw it on. Come on. I'll throw it on there too.
That's
but
your guy.
Tony did go out and argue it, and he made his best case, and he said, well, how is he even supposed to get it? Like, you could see him, like, moving the hands like that. Like, how is he even supposed to get it when the guy's body is moving Tim's shoulder this way?
Right.
That would be my case for interference. But apparently, since you had it on mute, filling you in, Stone and Benetti had said that it was that Timmy had never fully had control of it in the glove. Whereas if he did first and then got knocked off the path and then maybe dropped it there might be a case for interference. But they said it was too bang there. Didn't have it. But it's like, well, getting hit didn't allow him to really close out.
Right. Like you go for the scoop and all of a sudden you're getting taken out. Yeah.
And I agree. He was going for the scoop and tag there just with where the timing was there. But weird fucking play. Weird game overall, man. Just like April AL Central baseball. Right back at it talking about this.
Gross. It's gross.
Yeah. But either way, the White Sox, Graveman's not able to get that done. He comes out after just like a third of an inning, I believe he threw. And then Foster at least came in and stopped the bleeding there, got a ground ball, double play to end it. White Sox not able to put together any sort of rally there at the end, and even worse, adding injury to insult already. Luis Robert exits in the 8th inning. Sean, he looked like he just came up. It wasn't egregious, but he looked like he was favoring it a little bit. You could tell after he was trying to beat out a ground ball in the 8th inning. And after the game, Tony La Russa updated, said it was a minor groin strain and IL stint is a possibility. So how does that make you feel?
We'll put that. We'll put Luis on a 10-day IL stint, and then we'll see what happens. It's always something. This is what I was saying. I think I said this in the group chat. Make the shirts, print them. White Sox baseball. It's always something. It really is. Like right when you get an outfielder back, an outfielder goes down. When you get an infielder back, an infielder goes. Like when Lucas Giolito comes back on Sunday, which I believe is the plan. Mm-hmm. Knock on wood. I hope it doesn't happen, but I won't be surprised if a pitcher goes down, because that's White Sox baseball, right? When someone gets back, you lose somebody.
Sean, to play into your thing there, because I know we had the update, was it like 2 days ago is when they had announced that Pollock's probably going to be back Friday. Like that was like the, initial, like likely, that was kind of like the designation there. So we're like, oh, like, yeah, we're feeling good. We're getting close to like, some like full strength in the outfield here. But it's funny, as part of this whole news, like, when the Luis Robert official injury update came out from TLR, he also in kind of not the same breath, but in the same media session there, had confirmed, yes, Pollock will be back tomorrow. He is coming back Friday. So, we had to just we had to get it out of the way preemptively with the injury news that, we had to have it before someone could actually be confirmed coming back. We're just getting them out of the way beforehand now.
So Engel will be in center tomorrow.
Yeah.
Pollock will be in right, and Eloy will be in left, or Vaughn will be in left, and Eloy will be the DH.
That's the other thing, Sean. I mean, Eloy's thing, he only DH today. He's still, that ankle is still lingering. Of course, we just thought it was a bruise when he fouled it off during that Seattle series, but that can happen. Don't get me wrong. It's when you're a big power hitter, that can happen. You put the ball in your foot and it hurts. Doesn't feel good, but of course, there's some sort of like roll or, swollenness to it. It's not just a bruise, not just, not just purple for a couple days on you. Like
my thing though, you know what? Put him as DH. Yeah. Let him hit. As long if he can hit, that's all I care about. Yeah, I don't need him in left field.
Much of that lately though either.
Well, yeah, no, I know what he is, but yeah.
Yeah, he'd be the type of guy that I would look to, though, to kind of like, bring you out of some of that. And you know what? The most disappointing thing, too, here, while we're finishing up, just, kind of injury rants here. Luis Robert finally started to break out of his slump before this, too. Remember, everybody's tracking like, Luis Robert is 0 for 18, 0 for 19. It got up to 0 for 21 today in the first at bat. And then he came back and he
hit that double.
Roped a double off the wall. And I think it's like at least like 20 major league ballparks. That's a home run in just because Cleveland has the high wall. So
that ball was smoked.
Again, another instance of some that's so White Sox select there. But he did smoke it. And then he also had a single later. I think he did go opposite field with one there. And recorded a single. So he went 2 for 4 overall on the day. Not a bad day at the plate, but then of course he has to leave early. I don't think he would have gotten another bat there, but still, leaves early in the game. Just when he was like, everyone's concerned about him. Oh, Luis looks just like lost up there. Well, looked like he found himself a little bit. And now he's going to be lost to the IL.
And yeah, now we'll lose him for a week and a half, 2 weeks, and
yeah,
always something, man.
All right, last injury update. Unfortunately, this is always a fucking lengthy list. That's Josh Harrison sat out today. He's got shoulder soreness. I think there was some back, maybe a little bit of spasms there too. Not great. I don't like to see it, and who knows when he'll be back, because this guy's a veteran guy, and this is already his second injury scare this year, Sean. So I know he's set, and I get it. Like, Lurie deserves all kind of the shit that he's getting, and I'm a Lurie guy myself too. I usually am.
You're a Garcia stan, man.
I'll call it out though when it's when it's bad, and like some of the plays, like you said, like letting Ramirez beat out some of that, and like that goes for overall in the infield though, because Timmy had some dog shit plays in the infield too. So I'll give it to him when they deserve it there, but at the same time, you have to use him because Josh Harrison can't fucking stay healthy. I grit it. And he was making a play, and he did make a great play on it, and it happens. You're going to get injured sometimes, but they're just piling up, and it's inconvenient because you thought you filled the second base hole, but now you don't have it filled at all, because when the hell is he ever going to get back on the diamond? And when he gets back, is he ever going to be the same?
I don't know. I think Harrison fits on the team great. I actually really like I really like the addition. I don't know necessarily, like from a starting standpoint, but if that is what we have to go with, I'm good with it, right? Like I can live with that.
I want him, and I think he can be, but it's like, when's
got to be on the field?
There's always something, to use your word, Sean. There's always something, and you got to be on the field. And even in the small sample size, he already hasn't been on the field enough for my liking.
Yeah, and you know what? From an offensive standpoint, he's not going to do anything too crazy, right? But he's going to be able to play a good second base. You can put him at third for on some days, and I just play second base. I'm not worried about the offensive side of things. That'll come around. He'll get a couple weeks where he's hitting doubles, getting base hits, little dinkers. He's not going to, the power numbers aren't going to be there. He's not going to be hitting 20 home runs or anything like that, but he's going to be able to play a good infield. And that's all we really, like right now, we see from the defensive standpoint, right?
Yeah.
Like,
we'll
say
all we
need.
when he's been healthy, the defense has been much more sound than any of the other options that have been there. Maybe Danny Mendick's an outlier there, but he hasn't gotten a whole lot, so it's a much smaller sample size. All right, Sean, it was great to vent with you about that. We needed to get all of that shit off just about the AL Central April baseball, the absolute slop, sloppy. Slop gets swept. That's exactly what happened here. White Sox don't deserve it. We're in second place, so ranted about some injuries there. That was good, but as always, you got to put that one in the rearview mirror. We can sit here and bitch. We can bitch about it for, the next 24 hours, but that's not going to do us any good. So
does us no good.
We might as well look ahead to the next series, Sean. Let's do it.
Let's do it, because we're going full send into it.
Yeah,
so
we're going full send into Minnesota. No off days here. I know there is some rain in the forecast potentially, but I don't think it should be as drastic as what went down in Cleveland. Because you had snow and shit earlier there. From what I look. Doesn't look like that will be the case, so maybe they can get around some rain here with some flexibility. Who knows? But either way, Friday night, 7:10 p.m. Central Time start. Michael Kopech on the bump for our Sox. Bailey Ober for the Twins. Matchup preview, predictions, thoughts. What do you think is going to go down here?
Dude, I don't know, man. I really I want to sit here and I want to say the Sox are going to get 2 out of 3. I think you look at Kopech, right? Like Kopech, I think you're going to get 5-6 innings in him. Hopefully there's a lead in there, right? So this bullpen can get back to doing what this bullpen can do. Liam Hendricks needs some innings. He's had almost an entire week off. So you got to get him in the game. I think Graveman needs to get out there from a confidence level, right? Like get him back into that end of the 7th, 8th inning. Same with Bummer. I think the Sox should be able to take 2 or 3.
Yep.
Without question.
I'm with you.
Should be able to do it. Will they? Right when we think the White Sox should be able to do something, they don't do it. They do the opposite, right? And that's kind of where my head is here. Like they should be able to do 2 out of 3, or win 2 out of 3. I think they lose tomorrow. I think they lose Saturday, and I think Giolito start. Giolito goes 5 or 6, and that's when they'll get their win. I think they're going to be a game under 500 by the end of the weekend, it would be a game under 500, I believe. It's not a good prediction, but what
All right. Yeah,
what
no,
do I have to go off of right now?
No, right now the mood is definitely kind of like puts you there, and that's what you think. It'll take like a Giolito ace performance to, and I totally justified, totally understandable. But I'll go opposite direction here, and I'll say they take the first game here. I don't know about Saturday. We'll see what happens there, but I'd say they take the first game, and AJ Pollock's a spark plug. So he's my pick to click when he's back in the lineup.
Look
But
at you.
here's the reason: you got to go tinfoil hat time with you, Sean. He wasn't around all of this cesspool of dog shit and kind of crappy baseball that they played and all this getting down on ourselves and sitting around in the hotel marinating for 2 days in Cleveland and all that shit.
I like it.
He wasn't around for that Sunday stuff. And guess what? When he was in for those first game of the year and then the first, at bat 2 that he had in the second game of the year in Detroit, he was fucking on fire.
He was on fire. It was like, oh, we finally we got it. We got a right fielder. We did it.
He did hashtag set the tone while Timmy was out there. So you look good there. He's going to be my pick to click as he's re-entering the lineup here. And I think that can be a spark. And also another reason tactically here for this is that the White Sox have had outings last year. I remember vividly of them smacking around Bailey Ober pretty good and pretty far too. So I could foresee some home runs entering the mix here.
I hope that breaks the whatever crap we've watched last week.
You want to feel okay. Jose Abreu hits 400 against Bailey Ober in 10 at bats, 1 home run, 2 ribbies. You've got Gavin Sheets, even 7 at bats, sitting 286. Eloy hitting 667. Granted, smaller sample size, but still. Some of these big boys, they can bop it against him. Even though Bailey Ober is a big boy himself, they've proven that they can get to him. So I have confidence in that. I think they will. AJ Pollock brings good vibes, good juju in since he wasn't around for the cesspool.
You got him winning the series?
Yeah, I'll give him take it 2 or 3. Maybe they'll lose Saturday. I'll say we take Friday.
Look at you. Look at us being opposite roles, right?
Yeah,
Negative Nani going positive Nani.
Yeah, joyful Johnny. I think we do that's my Jekyll and Hyde there. But hey, I do it, and like I said, the reason with the Pollock thing going out on the limb. But I just do, and I don't know, Sean. Like I'm not that great. I'm sure you could go in and dive into these metrics. I know you and I aren't too much on the baseball savant in being able to regurgitate them and have a completely formed kind of breakdown of what this thing will look like numbers wise. But I just remember A, being at a game last year, and B, watching one on TV where the White Sox it seemed like they just pounded Bailey Ober. And it was God, I feel bad for this guy. Like he was it was like kind of like an onslaught of what we feel like Dallas Keuchel was getting hit with on the other day. Granted, not as egregious, but still there were definitely
not
some
hard hit balls up there.
Yeah, so that's what I remember from last year. So I'm going to keep that in the back of my mind as we face this guy tomorrow night.
I like it. Listen, I hope it happens. So,
yeah. All right, Sean, final thoughts. So let's close this thing down and get the hell out of here. Leave us with something that maybe is, a little bit more uplifting.
Ooh, uplifting. I think AJ Pollock. I think getting AJ Pollock back. I'm everything that you just said about him being a spark plug and everything like that. It's gonna be nice to get him back on the field. This is the advantage of the unfortunate advantage sometimes of having outfield depth. This is why getting an outfielder was so important, right? So when Luis Robert has his injury, because he knows between him and Eloy, someone's going to go down at some point for a week or two. It's just that's the track record at this point. So having guys like Adam Engel that you can plug in there for a week or two, AJ Pollock being there, you have Vaughn that you've platooned in there, Sheets, Eloy, whatever the case is, like you're not missing too much. Like I completely there was a couple days here this week that I forgot that we even have AJ Pollock, right? Because he's just it. And that's not a knock against him. It's just there's so much that you can throw out there. Yeah. And then you go and then you bring up his name. It's like, oh yeah. We got a guy that started the first game or game and a half on fire.
3 hits in game 1, and then he had another hit in game 2 before leaving.
So you put him in right field in Minnesota, right, over the weekend. You have Engel in center field. You throw Vaughn, Eloy, whoever you want, whatever the case is. You have guys that you can plug in there. So that's why it was important to get an actual right fielder because the depth situation it's always something. And this is where it's going to come into play here. So AJ Pollock, that's my positive thought. Is he's coming back, and you know what? Throw this out there. Giolito's coming back on Sunday. Yeah, get our ace back. Things start moving in the right direction.
There you go. That's where I was going to go. And then also, I guess I'll jump on this too. It's been a while since the Twins have seen Michael Kopech as a starter. So I know that he definitely was facing him in bullpen roles last year, but that also minimizes the overall exposure. You don't see him as much if he's not a starter, obviously most recently there. So I feel like that could be a little bit deceiving for some of those Minnesota hitters. That's my final thought that I'll leave with. Sean, it was excellent doing the show with you, man. I know, the outcome was not one that we preferred, but once again, good to get in a rhythm here. Hey, April baseball, April podcast here. We got to get in a rhythm here too. I think we got off to a good start here, and we'll tighten it up going forward as well too.
Absolutely.
So, yep. Listeners, make sure you're visiting ontapsportsnet.com for all your Chicago sports literature podcasting needs. Give us a follow on social media at Sox on Tap and at On Tap Sportsnet. Go subscribe, rate, and review wherever you listen to your podcast, because that's cool and tough, as my co-host Buzz likes to say. Sean, I only know 3 words to get out of here with. White Sox forever.
That's right. White Sox forever.